Justin, we appreciate the time. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having me and letting me use this platform to talk about this.
Well, let's keep that platform going here. This is something that developed just last Friday officially in terms of us. How long behind the scenes, Justin, had this been going on since the public execution of George Floyd?
Yeah, so you're right. We announced last Friday on Juneteenth, but it came together on the back of George Floyd's death. And I think we'd be dishonest as a group if we said that wasn't what galvanized us to get together. So, in only a day or two after his death, we could see that a bunch of players were having chats, group chats with their teammates, group chats with guys that they played with. And so we were able to get a chat going that coalesced kind of that and got us all together on one page. And then, within 5 days, we had a Zoom call, like 70 plus guys were on it. And it was just a really, really memorable call. We hadn't seen each other for months because of the pandemic, and we had tense return to play negotiations. And then, of course, George Floyd happened. So, our worlds were crumbling, and it was just a lot of love shared on that call to see each other and share our anger and pain and frustration about what was happening. And it was really there that we decided that we needed an organization to fight for ourselves and fight systemic racism.
That call intrigues me a lot, Justin. So how many players were on the call? And I've read a couple of different places where it touched you. Can you tell us why the call meant so much to you?
Yeah, so there was about 70 plus Black MLS players on the call. And like I was saying, these are guys that are used to seeing each other like weekly, whether it's playing with each other or playing against each other. And so because of the pandemic, we had no contact with each other. And so just the fact alone to see all their faces was joyful to me. But then on top of that, we came together unlike any time before and shared love and compassion for each other. And it was really memorable because there were some passionate speeches. There were some very passionate speeches that I'll never forget about why we need an organization to speak up for ourselves and what type of change we can make in this league and in our communities around us.
Justin Morrow of Toronto FC joining us here on Tim and Sid. Justin, Don Garber, commissioner of MLS, what have the conversations been like with him since this became official? What are your expectations of what the league needs to do as well?
Yeah, so we've had very positive conversations with him already. Things that we don't like in the league that we see are a lack of Black representation at the highest level, at the executive level in Major League Soccer, and also at the head coaching level. So we've talked about implementing initiatives like implicit bias training, cultural education courses league-wide, and hiring of a chief diversity officer, which will help bring about the change on that level.
Listen, Sid and I are both huge fans of football worldwide, and this is not something new to football. It's not something new to the world. Football has struggled with racism, but does that give you perhaps even a bigger platform to make change, Justin, because there's been such a storied history and such a storied battle within the game that it might actually give you a higher platform because people understand that there is a problem and there are a lot more allies out there that you might be able to work with to achieve some of these things?
It does give us a great platform, and you're right. Racism is rampant in the world of football. You look at a country like Italy and see all the degradation that Black players are treated with over there and that they have to endure, and you can see how much a country like that needs an organization like this. So if we could be the first ones to really group and formally announce as an organization, maybe other leagues can see that too. But you see it in the sports landscape in North America as well. I know the NHL announced their diversity alliance recently. We saw that and we were like, oh, this is cool. This is something that we can do too. The NFL has the Players Coalition. And so I think when all of these groups get together and eventually advocate on one platform, you're going to see a very powerful movement.
Yeah,
no doubt. Justin Morrow of Toronto FC joining us here on Tim and Sid. Justin, you're an Ohio kid, working in Canada. What was it like watching that through the Canadian lens, considering you have worked in this country now for a little bit? What did you look at that differently, having been on Canadian soil for as long as you have? What was your perspective on that?
Yeah, it was really tough because I'm sitting over here in Toronto where things are relatively calm, and just seeing the United States burning on fire. My parents live there. I have tons of friends and family that live there. I've become close with ex-teammates that are scattered around the United States playing on different teams there. Ike Opara plays in Minnesota. I'm really good friends with, and so I'm on the phone with him every day, asking if he's safe, seeing what's going on over there. And so I felt a little disconnected, and it was really tough. I was watching the news every day and really absorbing as much as I could. In Toronto, it's been very calm, and I'm happy to live here. I envision myself living here after I'm done playing too, because I feel like the diversity here and the way people treat each other is perfect. And I know it's not perfect, but in my experience, it's been really good. And so I'm happy to be here. And I just felt a little bit disconnected to what was happening in the United States, and I want to help as much as possible.
The last month has been tough on a lot of us, and it feels like grief, to be honest with you. And the one thing I know about grief is that everyone grieves differently. Can something like the Black Players Coalition, born of frustration, born of anger, born of rage, actually work with your hope, with your inspiration? Like, can we get the good out of the bad with something like this?
Yeah, absolutely we can. I was listening this morning to the Bill Simmons podcast, and they had JJ Redick on. You guys listen to that one?
I haven't listened to it yet, but I.
So JJ was talking about everything that's going on in the basketball world. They're preparing also to go down to Orlando, and he was talking about the discussions that they have internally amongst the players about social justice and how they can use Orlando as a platform, and how it has to be more than just wearing T-shirts before games or putting statements or that catchy slogan that might come out of it. And he was talking about everything that we're doing in the Black Players Coalition. And I was amazed. I was thinking, we're going to be down in Orlando too. What a beautiful opportunity. And so what I'm saying is, you see that athletes all around North America, I said with the NFL, the NHL Diversity Alliance, everyone is thinking the same thing. And so I'm hopeful that we will all be connected, and we will raise our voices together, and we will strategically align with big companies that will help get our message across. And that's when you'll see the change.
Justin Morrow, the executive director of the MLS Black Players Coalition, joining us here on Tim and Sid. Justin, I know a lot of the discussion is about the opportunity potentially ahead of NBA players and MLS players during this stretch where you guys come back to further social justice causes. The other conversation that has emanated from this, especially from the NBA side publicly, is this the right time? And I respect that opinion. I understand that opinion. I get it. In the conversations you have had, even that initial Zoom call, Justin, you were talking about, how much of it is this the right time to play, considering what's going on in America right now?
Yeah, my experience with that is my group was not talking about playing at all. My group was talking about the things that we can carry on off the pitch and really make a change, not only in Major League Soccer, but outside of the world as well. And so if you look at an opportunity like Orlando to bring us together as a group and use that platform, I think it's a good platform, and we should be using it.
I know your dad's a police officer or was a police officer. Does that give you a different perspective on the conversation of the last month?
It does. And someone asked me recently, my dad's retired now. He served 30 years for the Cleveland Police. Someone asked me recently what my relationship was with the police and how do I view it as having a father, a Black father, growing up in Ohio who was a policeman. And, I was always taught to respect the police, and I had very good encounters with police. And so my view to this day is tarnished a little bit, but it's still intact. That relationship, that positive relationship with the police is still intact. And I think it's tough for a lot of people because that's not the case. That's simply not the case. A lot of people see what's happening in the United States and see the police as the bad guys. And I know that if we could ever get back to the relationship the way it's supposed to be, that's when the most positivity will happen.
Justin Morrow, Toronto FC here on Tim and Sid. How do you focus now on this tournament, Justin? How difficult will that be? It will be difficult. Will it be also a bit of a release to kind of get back out there with the guys and try and rack up some regular season wins and make a run in this MLS's back cup? Like, what's your mentality going into it?
Yeah, for me, it'll be difficult. I'm trying to find that balance between the Black Players Coalition and putting my heart and soul into that, because I know I want to make change and doing what I do on the pitch as well. That's a hard balance to find right now, because as you mentioned, my lens has changed a little bit, and that's where my mindset is at. And I know a lot of my players, a lot of my teammates are happy to be back out on the pitch. And so I will do my best job to make sure that we're winning and that we're having a positive experience in Orlando as well.
Well, one of the things is dialogue, and we all know that. And listen, the past has been filled with dialogue, and it hasn't always worked. But anytime that you want to have a dialogue and you want to use our platform, we've been saying for about a month now, we offer up this platform without pretense, Justin. So if you ever want to come back and use this platform to harness a little bit of dialogue and harness, I was having a conversation. I might diverge here a little bit, but I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and one of the things that I think is supremely important as we move forward are good experiences. And I know, listen, I have a bunch of friends who are police officers, and I have a bunch of friends who are people of color who are police officers. And one of the things that I was saying about that is when you have good experiences, that can lead. If you have good experiences with anybody, it leads to conversation, it leads to dialogue, and those things lead you to see people as human beings. And when we see each other as human beings, we are way better off than when we see each other as rivals or someone on Twitter yelling and screaming. And that's the thing that I think we need to get to more often. And maybe that's, where I see what you're doing right now and what anyone can do and how they come together is to get to those conversations and those good experiences along with the bad experiences that help shape our viewpoints.
You're exactly right. I mean, everything that's happened in the United States in the past 2 weeks around the George Floyd death, there's been a lot of bad things there, but the good thing is that we're having conversation, because you know what? You have to acknowledge it now.
Yeah.
It's in your face, and you can't deny that racism exists. And so these conversations are being had, like you said, and that's the positive that's come out of it.
Appreciate you coming by and doing this.
Thanks,
Sorry,
Justin.
Sid.
No problem. Justin, we like he said, appreciate you coming on and doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need anything from our end, you let us know.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Be well.